I want a radio show that's honest.
That's funny. Something relatable. Gotta be entertaining.
I want a radio show that makes a difference.
Welcome to the Derrick Ashong Experience.
Get involved.
The phone number.
866-OPRA-XM.
Twitter and Facebook.
Search Oprah Radio.
Streaming live online.
At Oprah.com.
And broadcasting now.
On Sirius 195 and XM 156.
This is the Derrick Ashong Experience.
That's right, y'all. This is the Derrick Ashong Experience, live on Oprah Radio. Welcome, folks. It's Saturday. Pleasure to have you with me. Yo, I always get so excited. This is like the best like intro music, right? But I mean, seriously, you hear it coming on and I'm just like, yo, yeah, this show is hype. Like, I feel like this is totally hype. It's exciting. It's got a great vibe to it. And we're going to have more than great vibes all day today. So welcome to the show. This is me, DNA, representing life, art, society, etc. on the radio in your ear every Saturday from noon to 3 Eastern, 9 a.m. to 12 Pacific. Today, I'm actually broadcasting from headquarters in Chicago. And for those of you who do not know, this is the main room, like the heart of Oprah Radio. I can see in front of me a giant, lovely screen with all kinds of words. There's a wonderful window where I can see all of my team there looking extremely handsome and beautiful. It's a pleasure to actually be in the main studio. You know, normally where I broadcast from is at the Room Live in LA, and it's awesome, and we have a live audience and it's cool, etc. But, you know, Oprah has a certain touch. I mean, if you could be in here and see the chair that I'm sitting on, and feel the quality of the fabric itself. It's wonderful. So clearly, I'm going to obviously have to have a great show because I'm in the ultimate studio. I got here late last night from Indiana. Before that, I was in Tacoma. Prior to that, I was in Duquesne University, which is in Pittsburgh, and before that, I was in LA. This is all in like 4 days, right? So, why would I be traveling all this way? It's very simple. It's Black History Month. Yes, folks, it is February. It's February, it's Black History Month. Therefore, people want to know about the black folks. And when people want to know about black folks, they call folks like me when they can't get Cornel West. And I'll show up on campus and I'll be like, hey guys, I totally want to talk to you about like life in the world and like, you know, youth and identity and about like politics and like change in society and about amazing things in artistry. And they're like, can you just tell us about black people? And I'm like, well, okay. Black people tend to be actually various shades of brown. Many of them live nearby. And they like stuff. Yeah. And they're like, oh my God, this guy Derrick Ashong came to our campus and he totally told us about black people and it was like amazing. They like live nearby. Did you know that? I'm like, wow. And, you know, before we get into like the meat of the show, I just have to complain. Look, it's Black History Month, and I think that's wonderful and it's beautiful and it's great that everybody wants to highlight the history in this moment. But it puts me in an awkward position because I have a lot of things on my mind, and they do not necessarily have anything to do with being black. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But in February, everybody wants me to come to campus and talk about black issues. And I find it particularly intriguing that you got the shortest month of the year. Not even a month with like 30 days. We're talking about 28 days. 28 days to be extra black. Like, don't bring that talk around here in August. We don't want to hear it, okay? Don't be talking about you have issues in May. It's February. Make it happen. We'll see you next year. Well, on account of the joys of Black History Month, I have been traveling like a Looney Tune. And that's why I am here representing all of these various travels that have led me to Chicago today. Now, there's more reason to be in Chicago than I just happen to be in the neighborhood. We have an amazing program that we started it launched. We started working on it like maybe 3 or 4 months ago, but it launched like last week. and it's called Oprah Radio Voices. Now, for those of you who are fans of Gayle King, I know some of you are her favorite listeners. I'm starting to develop some of my own. You would have heard me perhaps in, I think, September, or probably September, talking to Gayle about things that were going on in the communities. And we had an amazing show in October that was discussing the violence that was happening with kids in Chicago. And we were thinking, well, what could we possibly do to address these issues? Not just report about it and talk about it like the traditional news media, but to actually get involved in the community. And I met a wonderful woman named Julie Simpson from a group called Urban Gateways that works with kids in Chicago. And we were like, yo, folks always come to the community and they want to talk about what's happening with these folks, but they never seem to talk to the people who are affected. You know, we had a chance to speak to Mayor Daley, Father Flager, CNN is down here, MSNBC, talking to folks about what's going on with the youth, what's happening with the children. But the children don't ever seem to be a part of the conversation. So we decided, what if we worked with these kids to actually give them the tools to speak for themselves, to tell their own story, right? To let people know what was going on with them from their perspective. And that is the genesis of what is now Oprah Radio Voices. So before I came on the air today, I sat in a room with 10 young people, amazing young minds, to talk about how do we share our stories. What is the best way in which we can tell people what we think they need to know about us and about what we're doing in our lives, right? And when I say us, I mean each and every one of us as an individual. How do I share with you what I am all about? So, we're going to have an amazing show today. We're going to have a few very interesting conversations. First of all, you're going to get a chance to meet a couple of the kids from the Oprah Radio Voices program. We're going to put them on the air, see if they have learned anything from the conversation we just had and the experience they've had to date. Hopefully, we'll be able to bring them back and you can hear as their own expression and their stories evolve. And we're going to have a conversation moving beyond, not only from our young people learning to deal with radio, but from some folks in some amazing other aspects of media. After we're going to wrap to a filmmaker, a man by the name of Lee Daniels. And for those that don't know, Lee Daniels is nominated. He's the director of the I think it's nominated for 6 Academy Awards, 6 Academy Award nominee film Precious. Lee Daniels is going to be joining us today as well to talk about life, the universe, and everything you might want to talk to. So if those of you who are sitting at home or maybe driving, if you're driving, don't take any notes yet, but take a mental note. Think if you have any questions for the kids or for Lee, write them down and call me. You can have that conversation anytime. 866-677-2496, 677-2496, Oprah XM. We'll get there in a minute. We're also going to have another artist from a different field, and that is Matthew McDermott. Matthew McDermott is a leading photojournalist. He has taken photos of amazing things going on across the planet and has found a way to make his eyes tell a story. We're going to get a little bit deeper into how he does that and what it's all about. So I think we're going to have a pretty good time. Now, before we talk to some of these wonderful young folks, I want to ask y'all a question. Basically, you know, what we're trying to do with Oprah Radio Voices is to provide a mentoring relationship to these young people. So everybody here at Oprah Radio is actually a part of this. I mean, it's incredible. You know, folks are teaching them about the technical aspects, the business aspects, the professional and the creative aspects of telling a story in radio. And it's a way that we're kind of looking at, it's like we're mentoring these kids and we're helping them as young people to be able to live and express a dream that they've had, which is to be involved in media and entertainment. So the first thing I'm wondering for you guys is, have you ever had a dream as a kid or as an adult that you are living today, right? Was there something that you used to think about when you were just a little baby cake, just a little sugar pie? Growing along, dancing on the fields of Iowa. And you thought to yourself, you know what? when I grow up someday, I totally want to be like an incredible, amazing biochemist, and I want to find a cure for athlete's foot. Is that what was on your mind? Is that what you were thinking about? Whatever it might be. Maybe not. Maybe you were growing up someday and you were like, when I grow up, I totally want to be an attorney. And I'm going to be a lawyer that represents the interests of massive corporations to make sure that they get paid. Who knows? Do you have a dream? Are you living your dream? Call us right now and let us know. We are here at 866-OPRA-XM, 866-677-2496. Call me and tell me if you had a dream and if you are living your dream today. We want to hear from you. Now, I have had the overwhelming blessing to have a chance to live a ton of my dreams. I mean, it's almost like every day my dreams are coming true. And it was funny because when I was a little kid, I always had big visions, and they were ideas of changing the world or doing this amazing thing or meeting these cool people or doing something wonderful and fun. And one of the things that I always used to think about is like, how do I express myself? How do I tell things in a way that folks can understand where I'm coming from? Because I literally grew up every 4 years moving to a new country. I didn't get the opportunity to grow up in a given community, and these are the kids I went to middle school with and high school, etc., and we all came up together. Every 4 years till I was 20, I would move to like a new nation. So I always had this idea, this dream, that I might be able to tell people what it was like to be me and to have this experience where, maybe they couldn't necessarily relate because they didn't come up from that same experience, but yet and still, I could help them to see where I was coming from. And there are many ways in which I'm doing that today. But I want to hear from you. I'm going to come back to that. I want to hear from you. Call us and tell us if you are living your dream. 866-OPRA-XM, 866-677-2496. Andre, what have you been dreaming and how are you living it today?
I have been dreaming about success, and I'm doing it through music, actually.
Really? What do you do?
Well, I put lyrics to sounds, to instruments, and I kind of get a message across by promoting positive energy.
Are you a songwriter?
Yes, sir.
And when did you start writing music?
I picked it up in my freshman year of college.
Wow. Were you a musician before that?
Yes, sir.
What's your instrument?
I played the trombone.
Okay. So you went from now this is interesting because a lot of people who may not be musicians who are listening, typically songwriters are like they play these harmonic instruments, guitar or keyboard, etc. You're a horn player, trombonist, and yet you became a songwriter. And that's what you're doing it today.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so give me your favorite lyric that you ever wrote. Just a brief one, 10 seconds. What's the best thing you ever wrote?
The best thing I ever wrote?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so to be wise is to be able to understand what I have. If you don't understand, give it early thanks. I don't know.
Okay, to be wise is to be able to understand what I have. If you don't understand, give an early thanks.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Andre. You are living the dream. I appreciate you sharing your story with us. We want to hear from you. What was your dream? Whether it was a dream as a child, as a little baby wink, whether it was a dream you had in high school, whether, like Andre, you came upon it in college, your freshman year, or as an adult. Maybe you decided halfway through life. Maybe you decided when you were, 58 that you wanted to do something special. What was your dream and how are you living it today? Call us 866-OPRA-XM, 866-677-2496. Liza, are you living your dream?
Oh, I am.
What is that dream?
Well, I'm a doctor. I'm a doctor in Atlanta, and I can't imagine any other better life. I serve people every day. I love what I do every day.
Okay.
And I've really never thought about anything else except for this.
Wow. Now, when did you, because if you've never thought about anything else, I'm assuming you started wanting to be a doctor a long time ago. So what moved you? Like, when did it start? What was the impetus for you to have this particular dream?
It was in me.
Uh-huh.
I don't think that people look inside of themselves enough. They look outside.
Yes.
But if you look inside and say, what will drive me every day to get up out of bed, what helps me serve other people, what makes me happy and fulfilled, they'll find it.
You know, I love what you just said, Liza, because I feel like a lot of times people do what they think they're supposed to do. It's like, oh, well, I'm expected to be X or I'm expected to be Y. But everybody has something in them that they just know. You know, my dad is actually a physician. He's a pediatrician. But when I was growing up, I was also good in math and science, but I wanted to be a writer. And I wanted to be, specifically, a songwriter and a performer, because I felt like I could tell people stories through my artistry. And I'll get a little more into how that evolved for me. But I wanted to find out a little bit from you, you know, as you moved through your life and you got to this point where you're literally living your dream, how does it feel? Like, what would you want other people to know from your example?
Well, just like you said before with the other caller, it doesn't matter what age, because he was in college and he found what he wanted to do. It doesn't matter. One of my greatest inspirations in medical school was a lady who was she was a single mom. So she had a 14-year-old daughter, and she went back to college, went back to medical school. She was my inspiration. So anybody can do it at any point in life, like you said. And what a great gift to be able to look for your calling and to live it every day.
I love it. Thank you so much, Liza. We've got some folks over here online talking to us. We got on from Twitter, @DV Perceptions. Yes, I'm living my dream, helping victims of abuse. I am the CEO of a company educating wealthy women struggling with the denial of abuse. That's powerful. We talked about this last week. Specifically abuse of children. And it's been amazing because so many of you call in, but on my Facebook page, a lot of you commented on having had similar experiences. And even, you know, it's amazing. We don't realize how many folks we know may have been through an experience like that. So we appreciate that comment, letting us know that you're living that dream. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about me. So one of the interesting things, as I mentioned, as a kid, I grew up in all these different places, right? And one thing that happens, I think for all kids, is you would typically want to be able to fit in. You want to feel like you are like everybody else, or at least you don't stand out too much. Now, of course, you want to be special, but to a large degree, you just want to be one of the gang. For me, this was next to impossible, because every few years, we would shift courses. You know, I grew up in one country. I moved from Ghana to Brooklyn. And then from Brooklyn, I moved to Saudi Arabia. Now, if anyone listening here has ever been to Brooklyn, you know that it's a very distinctive place. If you've been to Saudi Arabia, or even if you've not, I'm sure you can imagine that it is a very different place from New York City. So my life was always about moving and transitioning. And I had this idea when I was young of like, oh, I want to kind of fit. But then when I was in my early teens, I was like, this is not really going to happen. Like, I'm just always seeing things differently. I speak a different language from these people, or a different language from that people. And now I'm observing these folks, a way of seeing the world and being inspired by them. And so I decided after a certain point that, well, I wanted to be able to write my ideas, learn to convey my ideas, so that I could better articulate this idea of who am I and what does it mean to be me. And in so doing, make it easier for other people to also relate to and understand where I was coming from. Now, I told my parents then that I wanted to be an actor, and I wanted to play music, and I wanted to write. And they're like, he's nuts. He's doing all this different stuff. He's acting, he's doing music, he's writing, he's public speaking. It's so much stuff. Why don't you choose one? But I had chosen one. My dream was to be able to speak to people about things that I felt were important, and to do it in a way that was creative and that was artistic and that they would be willing to embrace. And I'm living that dream as we speak. I'm talking to you on the radio right now, and you can hit me up and let me know what your dream is too. 866-OPRA-XM, 866-677-2496. We are talking to young people. I just came from speaking to some kids, and we are helping them to fulfill their dreams. So before we conversate with them, which we will do momentarily, I want to know, what was your dream? What is your dream and how you're living it? Tammy, you're on the air. What's your dream?
Hi. Well, I'm actually living my dream.
Okay.
And I'm a pediatric cancer doctor.
A pediatric cancer doctor. You're a specialist.
I am. And my full title is I'm a pediatric hematologist oncologist.
Wow.
And it's one of those things that I kind of heard what the previous caller said, and I think that it was probably something that was always in me. Mm-hmm. And one of the cool things is I didn't want to hear it. You didn't want to hear what? I didn't. I kind of felt that maybe God, I don't know, the universe was telling me that this is what I should do. Yeah. And I just didn't really want to hear it. So it was almost like your dream was there and the universe was speaking to you, but you were tuned into another channel at the time. Pretty much. It said it to me. It started screaming it to me. Yeah. And finally, I just kind of said, all right. Now, I would kind of look up like, really? Yeah. Are you serious? And it even went so far as I can remember right after I graduated from high school, I said, okay, I'll listen to this for a minute. Let me just see what I need to do to go to medical school. Yeah. And I looked at all the requirements, and I closed the book, and I went, are you nuts? Oh, my gosh, like, this is insane. Wow. And so it was basically, now this is interesting because you're saying that it was intimidating. You know, this was something that people kept saying, you should do this, you should be this is you. And yet you were, first of all, not feeling it. Then you started looking at it in more detail. You were like, yo, not only is this not what I was thinking, but it's hard. Right. So where did you make that switch where you decided, no, this is what I want? You know, I just say finally one day when I was in college, I just said, okay, I'll start taking a few classes. Let's just see how it works out. Okay. And I did it. Yes. And it was a piece of cake. So you tried a little pre-med and you discovered that it was great for you. You just kind of had it in you to do that doctor thing. And for those who are just tuning in, Tammy is a pediatric hematologist oncologist. She is like a doctor's doctor. She takes children with cancer and she treats and helps to cure them. That is amazing. And Tammy, I appreciate you calling and for sharing that. That's super inspiring. Yo, Tammy brings up a really interesting point in that sometimes the dream is a little bit tricky. You know, it's not necessarily something that Liza told us that she had a dream and sort of it just blossomed. It was from the beginning. Tammy came to her realization a little bit later. Well, what about you? Are any of you having a dream that you've kept in your heart and soul forever, but maybe you're not living it? Maybe you haven't had the opportunity yet to try it. Maybe you've been lacking in the courage, or maybe you've only just come to it. Do you have a dream that you're not living? We want to hear from you. 866-OPRA-XM, 866-677-2496. Call us and let us know. We're going to take a quick break, and up next, we're going to include some other dreamers in the conversation. You can be a part of it too. 866-677-2496. This is the Derrick Ashong Experience. We'll be right back with you.
You're listening to Oprah Radio.
Hear it. See it. Feel it. Be it. Be it. Be it. Be it.
Welcome back.
The Derrick Ashong Experience on Oprah Radio and oprahradio.com.
Right, we are back in full effect. You're listening to the DNA X, the Derrick Ashong Experience, live on Oprah Radio. For those of you who are online or near a computer, you can also see us at facebook.com/Derrick Ashong Experience, ustream.tv/Derrick Ashong Experience, or just go straight to oprahradio.com. We are streaming live online as we speak. You can also tweet to me, twitter.com/Ashong. We're listening to you. Right now, we're having a conversation about a very beautiful topic, right? Today, we didn't start with politics. We're not going into all of that hardcore stuff yet. We'll get there. Today, we're talking about our dreams. And we're talking about the dreams that we've had as kids and how they become manifest as we grow up. And if we're living our dreams or if not. And we want to hear from you. Are you living your dream? Right? Is there something big that was in you as a young person or later in your life that you are fulfilled or managed to fulfill? Is there something in your life that you dreamed that you haven't been living, that you never really took it up or you never let it go to the fullest extent? And why aren't you living your dream, and what's keeping you from living it? You're with me live at 866-OPRA-XM, 866-677-2496. Now, I am joined by a couple of very amazing young people, and we've got a whole crew here from a program that I mentioned earlier called Oprah Radio Voices. And we had the opportunity to speak this morning with some of the young people in the Oprah Radio Voices program. We're learning how to tell our own stories and say what they're all about. So, Brenda and Emmett, welcome to the Derrick Ashong Experience. Brenda, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine.
Excellent. Can you tell the people where you're from?
I'm from the west side of Chicago.
The west side of Chicago. And what grade are you in?
I'm in 10th grade.
10th grade. All right. And Emmett, how about yourself?
I'm doing fine, too.
You doing fine. Well, you looking very, very fine, sir. Y'all can't see on the, but these are two good-looking young people over here, and they have something to share. Emmett, what part of town are you from?
I am from the south side.
South side of Chicago. And what grade are you in?
I'm in 9th.
9th grade. So you're a freshman?
Yes.
Okay, so you got some time before the college experience, etc.
Yes.
All right, so I'm curious from you guys. What is your dream, Brenda? First of all, I know that you're an athlete, am I correct? And you're a musician.
Yes.
So you got skills out this world. You're overflowing with talent.
Yeah.
What's your dream?
Actually, my dream is to be a motivational speaker for the youth.
A motivational speaker for the youth?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And what kind of things would you want to talk to the youth about?
I want to talk about education. I want to talk about them loving themselves because that's where it started.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about loving each other, too, because all this violence needs to stop.
Now, this is a powerful thing. You're saying that you want to be a motivational speaker to talk to young people about loving themselves, about loving each other, and that this is something that can help the violence to stop. And part of the reason we started this program is because we were seeing that there are a lot of issues going down in Chicago, but people would come and talk about it, but they wouldn't actually talk to the kids that were experiencing it. So that's wonderful to see that you already have this mission to share with people your own message of peace and hopefully self-understanding. Now, Emmett, what do you think when you hear that topic? Do you feel like young people are getting those kinds of messages of loving themselves?
Actually, what I think is that I think the reason why most of us are not being like
Take your time, it's all good.
I think like the most reason why most kids are not active is because of what they see on TV. Like if you are inspired in like seeing sports or doing something like sports, lots of people go out and try to be their favorite players.
Yes. So basically, it's something like if you're interested in sports, there are those role models there for you.
Yes.
But if you're interested in doing something like what Brenda said, maybe there aren't the same kind of images coming from the media and television to inspire you and encourage you.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to have you all see here. Emmett, I'm going to ask you a couple questions in a minute about some of your perspectives, but I want you guys, if you're willing, to help me with some of our listeners. Does that sound good?
Sure.
All right, so let's see who we got. Sue, I understand that you ran a marathon. Is that correct?
Yep, I ran the Boston Marathon in 90. Oh God, I'm old. 98.
98? You're not that old. I know I'm not supposed to say you're not that old, but you're not. Anyway, Sue, are you from Boston?
Nope. Well, Rhode Island.
Okay, and are you an athlete?
I was a runner in college and in high school, and I just said, you know what? The greatest thing a runner can do is run the marathon. So I figured, you know what? I'm going to do it, and I did it.
Wow, that is amazing. And how did you train to be able to run the marathon? Like, were you like training, working for years? Like, what did it take to do it?
You know what? I was crazy. I had only run 10 miles, the most ever in my life. 10 miles at the most. And I said, you know what? This is something I want to do. And I did it. And want to hear the funny part is, a friend of mine, years and years, later, was looking through a book, and there I am, crossing the finish line, and not just crossing it, jumping across the finish line with my hands in the air.
Whoa.
And she said, I saw you in a book. And I said, are you kidding me? And she bought it, and I said, yeah, that's it.
That's amazing. And how long did it take you to finish the marathon?
3 hours and 19 minutes.
3 hours and 19 minutes. Sue, I can't run for more than like 15 minutes at a time. I mean, after about 15 minutes, I'm like, if I was living in the wild back when humans first were created, whoever was trying to eat me would have eaten me within the first few minutes. So what I'm going to run for? So, but I am impressed, and that's inspiring. And when I get home, I'm going to see if I can push for a good 17 and a half minutes on my next run.
But you know what? Anybody can do it. You just have to, I had a headset on, I listened to music, and it's the greatest thing, and anybody can do their dream. It is just the greatest feeling ever.
I love it, Sue. Thank you so much, folks. You heard it here first. The key to living your dream is to get an iPod, okay? Make sure you got the right soundtrack. Bring that beat back. Yo, all my peoples, call in. Tell us, do you have a dream? Are you living that dream? Are you leaving a dream aside? Have you not tried to adhere to your dream? Folks that are online, you could call too. I know a bunch of y'all are watching on Ustream. I see you. And we've got some folks up there on Twitter. Jabris is telling us it's all about uplifting the youth. That's what's up. Feel free to call us directly on the phone, 866-OPRA-XM, 866-677-2496. Renee, I understand that you're running away from your dream?
Yes, I am.
What is that dream?
Writing.
Writing?
Yes.
As in writing as maybe like a novelist or writing as a journalist? What kind of writing?
As a novelist.
Okay. And why are you running away from it?
I have a story in me that's been trying to come out for years and years, and it just, I started and I stopped. And I guess it's intimidating because I haven't had any formal training. But
Yes.
I love to write. I love to write like essays and stuff like that. I'm in school right now.
Okay.
Totally different field, but
And
sorry about
I see that you're not only running from your dream, but are you running from the police? Hey, I don't know. I don't know, Renee. Are you in trouble? Are you in trouble? Do we need to call somebody on your behalf, 911?
I am standing outside.
You are running from the man. My goodness. Yo, you got to embrace the dream. Embrace the police. Just be careful, actually. Ask them first. We don't want any mistakes going down out there. No, but Renee, this is interesting. So you feel like you haven't had the formal training to be able to do this, but yet and still you love it, and it's inspiring.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, because we got two talented young people here, Brenda and Emmett, and I want to draw them into this dialogue a little bit. Emmett, so you said you're in the 9th grade.
Yes.
You're a young man with potential, right? The whole
Yes.
world is ahead of you. Could you give any advice to Renee on how she might approach her dream?
I don't know.
You don't know. That's okay. Brenda, any thoughts?
I would tell her to keep pushing for a dream because a dream don't come true automatically. You got to keep pushing. You got to keep your head up, and you got to know that something's gonna happen.
Absolutely.
You got to have faith, basically.
You got to have faith.
I say don't give up.
All right. Yo, Renee, Brenda is telling you, and Brenda, you're a sophomore, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Brenda's got another year on Emmett right now. She's telling you that you got to not give up hope. You got to keep the faith and keep pushing for it. Emmett, I'm wondering, have you ever felt like you had a dream that was hard to achieve?
Yeah, I do.
What's your dream?
Actually, my dream is I want to help people and heal them because I'm getting tired of all the violence and people dying and stuff.
Yeah.
So actually, what I am trying to do is I am trying to find a way where I can be anywhere where I can heal people, be a doctor or a veterinarian or anything.
Wow, anything that is healing.
Yes.
So you're saying you're looking at the world around you. You're seeing a lot of people being hurt and broken down.
Yes.
And you want to figure how you can pull things back together.
Yes.
That actually resonates a lot with me. My dad is a pediatrician. He is the second youngest of 10 children. And my father grew up at a time when there were a lot of challenges in my home country. And he saw a number of his siblings pass away. He doesn't like to talk about this. He'd probably be upset that I'm saying it on the radio, but I think it's important to think about, right? My dad today has got one surviving remaining sibling. And because of some of the things when he saw when he was very young, he thought, you know what, people should have a better chance. People should have a better chance to live and survive and thrive. And so he dedicated his life, much in the same way that you're doing, to medicine and to looking at how do you heal people? How do you help to mend the wounds, right? And how do you help to make their lives better? And I think that that can be a very profound and powerful motivation. And the fact that you're sharing that with us and with our listeners will hopefully get other people thinking about how their life experiences, how they can maybe look beyond the problem, but be a part of the solution. Yo, we've got some more people that have ideas on this concept. And I understand that Blanca lost 100 pounds. Is that correct?
Yes, I actually thank you for taking my call. I dropped 100 pounds. Along this journey, I would never, ever have imagined what I would be doing, inspiring others, helping others.
Mm-hmm.
I've become very aware of my gift.
Wow.
I was type 2 diabetic.
Okay.
I almost lost my foot. That's what drove me to get on health challenge for myself. It was a crisis in my life.
How old were you when you took on that challenge?
30 years old.
Okay, so you were a full-grown woman, and you decided at that stage that you were going to make a massive change.
Yes. Here's what, I'm going to relate this back to your show last week. I missed part of it, but the abuse that I withstood as a child probably was what crippled me.
Man.
And made me the way I was.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's powerful that you took that abuse, and even at age 30, which is not old by any stretch of the imagination, but people have established their patterns by then. You could have continued as you were. You made a break, and you made a change that is not only inspired you to have a better life, but is inspiring all of us to hear from you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for sharing that story. We're going to take a quick break, but we are actually going to have an opportunity to talk to someone who has told an amazing story of a woman, a young woman, who was a victim of abuse and who was also overweight and not loved by the people around her. We're going to be speaking to Lee Daniels, who has been nominated for an Oscar for directing the film Precious. And we're going to get a little bit of his insights as well right after the break.
listening to Oprah Radio.
You are listening to the Derrick Ashong Experience. Join the conversation on Facebook.com/Derrick Ashong Experience and at Twitter.com/Ashong.
Hey, this is DNA. We are live on the Derrick Ashong Experience. We have got some amazing folks in the studio with us talking about what it is like to have a dream and to live our dreams and some of the challenges that we face sometimes in living them. Now, I've got Emmett and Brenda in the studio with me, both representing the west side and the south side of Chicago. And I just got a note from one of our folks watching on Ustream. He says, Derrick Ashong is talking. She says, Derrick Ashong is talking to young people. This is Carol LF. They are inspiring. This young woman is talking about self-love. Love it. So folks are listening to us right here. Now, I want to know, because you both brought this issue up of how you're kind of inspired to do some of the good things you're doing by the challenges going on in your community, the violence. Can you say, Brenda, have you known anybody who has been touched by the violence in the communities here?
Has been what?
Who has been affected by the violence in the community?
I mean, me personally, I lost my cousin to violence. I lost my 9-year-old cousin to violence.
Your 9-year-old cousin?
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
She was stabbed and raped.
She was stabbed and raped here in Chicago?
Here in Chicago.
Did they catch the person?
Mm-mm.
And how did that make you feel when you found out about that?
I felt like, why? Like, who would want to hurt a 9-year-old little girl that never did anything to no one?
Yeah.
And I also felt like angry because they never found out who did this. The person is still walking freely.
Yeah, and could potentially hurt somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
But see, it's interesting because the way you've chosen to respond is you haven't become mad and hateful. Your whole mission is to teach people to better love themselves.
Right, because won't nothing get solved by fighting. It's just like a math problem you can't do. It won't get solved.
It won't get solved. Exactly. So basically, even if it's hard, we got to take the steps towards a solution because if we leave it alone, the problem is not going to fix itself.
Mm-mm.
Emmett, how about yourself? You also mentioned it. Have you known people who've been affected by the violence?
Actually, I have. I lost a cousin, too. He died at the age of 6 due to a violence.
What happened?
It was like a drive-by. He wasn't actually aimed at, but a bullet crossfired and hit him, and he lost his life.
A stray bullet hit your 6-year-old cousin?
Yes.
This is one of the reasons why we wanted to do the Oprah Radio Voices program, because as I mentioned earlier, a lot of times people come into the community and they have all the experts and the journalists and the mayor and everyone talking about what's happening, but we don't get to hear from the youth who are actually affected by it. And it's interesting that both of you can very clearly give us instances that this has touched you, and yet you feel like you want to do something positive about it. I would also ask then, Emmett, and Brenda, actually both of you, what message would you want to convey to other kids? What do you think that they should know about what's happening in Chicago? Brenda, go ahead.
I think they should know that people are willing to help them, and violence is not the only way to solve conflicts. You should solve conflicts peacefully. Yes, ADL.
Yep. So basically, that people are here to help them. What is ADL?
Actually, it's a thing at our school, Calumet Perspective. We live an ADL life, with a disciplined life, and one of our main things is solving conflicts peacefully. A disciplined life, solving conflicts peacefully. Emmett, this is at your school too?
Yes.
So what are the elements of a disciplined life?
At our school, most of our ADL rules are like to eat healthy, solve violence peacefully. And I can't think of all of them because it's a lot. But
love who you are.
Love who you are.
Be a lifelong learner.
These are good. Who came up with this? Y'all are going to a great school. What's the name of your school?
Calumet Perspective.
Calumet Perspective. Mm-hmm. That is wonderful. All right. Well, we've got some people who are on the air. Let's see if we can talk to them a little bit about what's going on here. And y'all can call us anytime at 866-677-2496. Right? And before we go to callers, we have got a wonderful guest that is joining us. Calling in live from London, we have the Oscar-nominated director, Mr. Lee Daniels. Lee, are you with us?
I'm here, sir.
Welcome to the experience.
Thank you, Derek. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, I really appreciate you being with us. Now, we're going to talk about, first of all, we want everybody to know that your film Precious is nominated for 6 Academy Awards, and that's an amazing thing. First, I want to get into a little bit about who you are, but just how does that feel?
You know, Oprah asked me that on her show yesterday.
Uh-huh.
I taped it, and I sat there, and I started stuttering, so I'm sure I embarrassed myself, my mother, Oprah, America.
I'm sure your mama is proud of you. 6. I mean, if you only got 4 nominations, I don't know, but with 6, she got to be proud.
I just was sort of I'm embarrassed about it. I'm honored.
Yes.
I'm humbled, but I'm a little embarrassed about it because it draws attention to me, and though I want people to see the work.
Yes.
It's the work I want them to see and not really me. I'm like the maestro behind the work itself. So it's a little embarrassing. The actors are out there promoting the movie, not really me. And so it's sort of it's a weird thing when the attention's on me. So it's embarrassing and humbling.
Okay. Well, I want to...
Does that make any sense?
That makes actually a lot of sense because this is a very, it's a big thing. And what you're basically saying is you want people to focus on the story, but now you've become the source of a lot of the attention because of the amazing work you've done. We have 2 young people here who are about to leave. They've got to get back to school. Well, not school because it's a Saturday, but at one of them, Emmett,